Okay, so let's move on to the second one because I think it's a good pivot and progression. Um, but Kevin started talking about once he started getting a little bit of momentum,
Yep.
kind of the scales came off of his eyes around how things really got done in life and in business, and what was all of this, you know, what was all the momentum that the world had and all these people around him had that he could not see.
Yeah.
And he made the point about, hey, I got to the point where I started to know people who were behind the curtain. And then I got invited through those relationships behind the
Yep.
curtain. And he was like, "Phew," all of a sudden,
Yep.
things lit up. Things made more sense. And he could see how all of that work he had done now has an end game, if you will,
Yeah.
for the things that matter in his life. So again, I'll ask you, have you seen behind the curtain? And people always talk about this proverbial curtain.
Yeah.
Number one, do you think it exists? And number two, have you seen behind it?
I I I know that it exists, right? I
Okay.
know that it exists. And when you talk about seeing behind it, I have I have witnessed I've witnessed it's kind of like I've peeked behind and I've seen some things. I've been a fly on the wall of conversations and known of things. I see my friends who are behind the curtain and they're doing their thing. And from my standpoint, I am cheering them on, supporting them the whole nine because I do believe that when the time is right, the connections will be had, the connections will be made. Some people may see a peer, a friend, or, someone that they're working with and see them doing great things. And when is my time going to come? Or they may either support or envy that person. I love it. I think I've shared this with you years ago when we, growing up here in Central Florida, um, where when we had a big group of friends that we would hang out with, and then over time, everyone would start saying, "Well, hey, I'm moving to a different state. I'm moving to a different place," and I was like, "Awesome," because now I'm going to live vicariously through you where you are. I have friends in Chicago. I got friends in California. I got friends in Texas. So if I ever go to any of those states, I have connections. So when I see my friends behind the veil, I'm just doing my part of my journey. Because when the time comes, there may be the invitation. And we've talked about this, right? Your time will come. Will you be ready?
Mm,
I want to have done the work necessary to be ready to have the conversations. And James, my belief is um, it will be accelerated because of the connections, because of the relationships that I fostered, not out of expectations of anything else. But if my time aligns with theirs, then it's a new experience, and I'm open to that new experience, man. I am happy for it. It's kind of like when we went traveling, right? You don't recognize how, or you don't know from my perspective how easy traveling the world was when we did it with you guys because you had already traveled the world. So whereas we're following behind you and it's like, do we need to pull out our passports now or no? No? Okay. And we just walk around and just enjoy because we're fine. We felt there's a level of safety because you were behind that veil.
mm.
That's exactly how I look at these relationships that I've fostered and that I've built. And as I see my friends do their thing, I'm ecstatic for them. I'm ecstatic for them, and I support them. However they need me to support them, I will. No expectations. Man, when that time comes, I'm wide open. If it
Yeah,
comes and if it doesn't come, James, I would have still continued to support my friends.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, that's good, G. I have learned that there's not one curtain, there's multiple. And as you pass through the gates or the toll gates of life,
Totally.
experience, wisdom, networks,
Yeah.
those curtains begin to open. Um, and they're curtains that we've always kind of assumed existed, but never even thought I'm not even that interested in that. Like,
Mm,
there's the money curtain.
mm.
We all see it, right? There are people in this country that can turn a dollar into a billion faster than most people can turn a dollar into a
Yeah,
hundred. And
it's
people
free.
wonder, are they
Yeah,
that much smarter? Are they that much more talented? Are they? Um, and there's some things that they have in common. They take risks, they do this, they do that, right? But generally speaking, I now know in my new life that's a curtain. Like, that's a real curtain. There are people who know each other, who are interested in that thing, who are
yeah,
working together to champion the goal of making as much money as possible.
yeah,
And they monitor who gets in. They
yeah.
know who gets in, right? So even when you think you're doing good, and even when you think you're behind the curtain, know that that curtain has a curtain, and
Yep,
you have just stepped into the first curtain, not
yep,
the second or third curtain. So I
yep.
think I think appreciating that life has these dynamics to it, and leaning into the fact that it's not how many curtains you get through, it's the fact that you're getting through some. And I'll say it this way:
Mm,
if you aren't seeing the benefits of how you've invested the last 10 years of your life, the way you spent your time, what you've read, what you've ate, how you exercise, you spent time with kids, time with self, if you're not seeing those investments manifest into momentum today,
mm.
I would say you need to pause and take an inventory of what you're actually doing and how you're spending
Yeah,
your time.
yeah.
And the reason I say that is because those investments open curtains.
Yes.
They get you into conversations with people. They open and expose you to new things, to travel, to new cities, new parts of the world that you never would have experienced otherwise, right? And if you've not taken the time to recognize those moments and invest in them with your attention and your support and your, whatever else you needed to put out, that's how you show up empty when the
Mm,
moment comes, right? To your
mm.
point about Mr. Golden, that's how you show up exposed,
Yeah,
because you've wasted 10 years worth of experience, 10 years worth of momentum, 10 years worth of opportunity, and now you're frustrated that those curtains aren't opening for you. But it's how you spent the last 10 years.
sure,
That's the reason why you don't have the key today. And I think
sure.
Kevin did a really good job in his commentary on this, talking about, um, he had done all these little micro steps and built and built and built and built. And he got to the place where he was so magnanimous in where he showed up that people just started calling him, "Hey, Kevin, let's get in this. Let's get involved in this together. We want you to help us pitch this. We believe our product can be more successful with you because of how you've engaged with people."
Yeah. Oh,
When you invest the right way, it's not about you opening the curtain. And you and I talk about this often. I don't believe in opening the doors of life. I do not believe walking up to a closed door, grabbing the
I
handle of
hope
that door and turning it and realizing it's locked on me, and now I'm frustrated and I'm angry.
I
No,
need to be over
I
there.
believe that as I'm approaching that door, it opens.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
it doesn't, it's not a door for me.
It's not a time. It's not the time.
Nope,
Yeah,
not a door for me.
I think about that. Right. One thing that came to mind was when with my business, man, how my brother and I we invested into getting the fuel distribution company started, right? And I remember investing, man, in our first tank, right? And it was sitting there on our property for years. And it's like, man, was this a great investment or not? Like, when is it going to manifest? When is it going to like, begin to churn? And then I remember investing into our first truck, fueling truck. It's what are we doing? There was a belief, there was a vision, and then things started to happen, right? You talked about how did you invest the past 10 years? Had we not been in a position to invest into this truck, had we not had the foresight to invest into this tank and just even let it sit for a period of time, now, if we wanted to just start a company or fueling company, it we would have been started from the ground up, no momentum at all, you know. And then money would have been different at this time. to get started,
Go.
right?
So I want you to pause there because this
Sure.
is, you are hitting on something that is so important. You did something that didn't make sense when you did it, but you had the resources because you
Mhm.
were in another life. You had the resources to do it. You weren't putting yourself out in a way that was uncomfortable to do it. And
Yeah,
you looked at it and said, "What? Why now? Why that?"
yeah.
The clock goes forward. Now all of a sudden to the point you just made,
It's
it's
making sense.
time.
Yeah.
And now I don't have the resources I used to have. So if I were to do it now, it wouldn't make sense.
Oh, right. Oh, man, I wish to the audience. It's kind of like a. Are you hearing? Are you paying attention? Oh, are you paying attention? Are you paying attention, man? Because yeah, as I reflect on just our conversation, we talk about the doors, being able to walk up to the doors, and just like if you're going into a store, going through the airport, the doors just open for you, right? Had you not invested well, and I'm not just talking about investing financially, right? Just be a good steward of everything that you had gone through over those past 10 years, so that as you walked up to the door opened, you can just walk right through. It's critical.
And the other thing, G, on that is the better you spend your time in prep,
Mm,
the more doors will open. And let me tell you why. Because you are better prepared to be a vessel in more situations. And so naturally, more doors will open for you. Because
mm,
how you show up, the way you show up, who you're able to impact by you showing up, how you change the DNA of the rooms you're in, you change the vibes of the rooms you're in. Now, all of a sudden, people are calling, can you come? Can you help? We
yeah,
need you.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Instead of you having to force your way in, work your way in, the doors are now, to your point, opening for you because you've prepared yourself. You have improved yourself as the product. Now you are more versatile to show up and be impactful in more situations.
The other day, I went to a meeting of some tech guys, and I walked into the room. I was invited by another gentleman. I walked into the room, and as I walked in, the first thing he said was, "Hey, Gerren, introduce yourself to the room." And I introduced myself very simply. Gerren Sproul, I'm a coach, keynote speaker. I'll sit right here. And I sat there, James, and I paid attention to how they interacted. Paid attention. I wrote notes, paid attention. And at the end of the conversation, when everyone was leaving the room, that's when the conversation ensued. Hey, Gerren, tell us a little bit about yourself. A buddy of mine who was in the room, he proceeds to introduce me to everyone his way. And I was like, I have nothing to say. Go on. And he just told him about this and what Gerren has done. And Gerren is such a humble guy. Ever since I've known him, he hasn't changed despite all of this. And James, I didn't have to say anything. Anything.
Mm.
And tomorrow I have 3 follow-up meetings with people from that room. Didn't have to say a word. And I looked at that. I really paid attention to that. I said, Gerren, look, did you notice, Gerren, that you said nothing and you felt comfortable not saying anything? Like you didn't have to boast. You didn't have to raise your chest. Nothing, right? And there are new conversations being set up for you.
Mm.
There's growth here that I want to recognize and acknowledge within myself. And then there's the power of, like you said, man, how you steward your time, how the impressions that you leave on people, right? Where you don't have to boast about anything. Just be yourself. Just be yourself.
Garen, how many months ago was it that you were wondering when you would even get your first inquiry?
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
share with the audience. How many months ago was that?
Man, it wasn't that many. It wasn't that many, right? Um, but we had some real honest conversations about that, and there was concern there. Um, there was concern there, even as I reflect on it, I think there was this ah here what it was. James, I believed that this was supposed to be my time now at that point in time. Like I thought yeah, okay, you stripped me down. Okay, so now. And I'm recognizing that and you see my growth even over those months and how I show up and what comes out of my mouth. So I do see the growth, the continued growth. And my belief now is that I'm supposed to just mind my business and continue working, continue growing, continue learning, continue being a great steward, continue trusting, having faith. That's it. That's it. I liken that gentleman talking to others about me as a door opening without me having to even stretch out my hand to push it open.
You just
And
showed up.
that's it. That's it. That's all I did, really. That's all I did.
Showed up. So for the audience,
This is good.
behind the scenes, Gerren and I talk a lot about this because there's so much frustration during these periods of change and transition where you so want to get to the next destination.
Mm,
You're so anxious to, for the new business to start being profitable, start generating revenue, start having an impact, or, if you take a new job or take a promotion, um, you want to get to the point where you can be and create the value that you feel should be created by you showing up and doing it. And there is a process where we just have to sit with our hands folded.
mm, mm.
I'm in a place right now where there's a lot of kids running around, and I'm just watching and observing how families are together, and how kids are just beaming with energy. And just sit, just wait. We're gonna get there.
Mm.
Just wait. I can see the line is getting shorter. We're about to move. We're about to get to where you want to be, but you gotta just wait. And it's in those waiting moments, G. And like I said, as we talked about with you, when you call me now, you're like, James, I gave 5 pitches today, smooth, no issue.
Right.
Offers done, no hesitation. I
Yep.
priced them, no problem. They happen, they don't. But I'm no longer caught up in the if or not or the like. I'm driven by the reps. I'm driven by the opportunity. I have no expectations on what will happen next, but I know that every step I take, every action I take is one more opportunity to get better.
Yeah.
And that's what I now value.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, James. And that is where the value is. That is where the value
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Wonderful, man. So again, to summarize this section, we talked about doors, we talked about curtains. There's many of them, but the point of this is how do we work out in the preparation time before you can be the answer to the question that will be asked in the future, or before you can be the person of influence that needs to interact with this individual at a certain point in time, that intersection. How have you spent the last fill in the blank period of time
Yeah.
which was your time to get ready, to get prepared for your moment? The Myron Golden line: you can be exposed
You
or
can
you
like
can be accelerated, right? What are you going to choose? And does your impatience, does your unwillingness to wait, to be patient, to learn, put you in a situation where you're more likely to be exposed than accelerated? All right.
man.
Whew.